Okay, so I want to go over this one short poem with you before class by Robert Frost. Again, bringing him up because he's great. And to show you how rich a very short line, short 8-line poem can be and what you can get out of it if you know what to look for, if you're sensitive to language. Okay. So I'm looking at this, or after looking at this, my thoughts are focusing on multiple words with multiple meanings, both literal and figurative, allusion, metaphor, alliteration, and paradox, which I know I've not mentioned formally in class, but hopefully you recall that a paradox is something that is seemingly contradictory, but actually expresses a truth. So I've got 5 things here that I'm dealing with in this very short poem. So let me go ahead and take a shot at this. I want to set my timer so that I do not go too long. Okay. So read it very quickly. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. Okay, so we'll start with the multiple meanings idea. Nature's first green is gold. Now, this is a paradox, but there are also, this is a metaphor, but there are also multiple meanings here. I want you to look at that line and think, okay, what word there has more than one meaning in a sense? So if you think about it deeply, you'll notice the word gold, right, is the word that maybe has more than one way of looking at the word. So to say nature's first greens, the shoot of nature, the first appearance of nature is gold. So you think, well, gold is valuable, right? So the first appearance of nature is gold, is valuable, absolutely. But also, so that's actually a figurative level that might come to your mind first. But we also have to think about the literal level of gold, the color, right? Another way of looking at gold, the color. So another meaning for the word gold there is that, when you have something that's growing, the first color it's going to be is actually not really a green color, but a yellow color. So like gold. So nature's first green is gold, is gold, like something valuable. So that's a metaphor. But there's also the multiple meaning of the idea of gold being the color. So there's something interesting happening there. All right. So the next line, her hardest hue to hold. I'm sure it's not difficult for you to figure out why I would bring up alliteration here. So, okay, I see repetition of the H sound 4 times actually in the line, which is quite a bit. So remember, we always want to connect alliteration or sound devices, if we can, to meaning. All right. So I want you to say that line to yourself. Her hardest hue to hold. What happens as you say it? Of course, your breath runs out, right? You get to the end of the line, you have no more breath, and you can't do anything else. So the exhalation of the breath and the inability to go on, right, corresponds quite nicely or connects quite nicely to the idea that that it's not the gold color or the gold idea of nature's first green can't be sustained. It doesn't hold that hue. It doesn't hold that color very easily. It's hard to hold it, right? So that's a connection between the sound or the effect of the sound, right? The ha ha ha. All your breath is gone. You can't go on anymore. You can no longer hold it, right? Her early leaf's a flower, right? So that's obviously going to be a metaphor. How can a leaf be a flower, right? A leaf and a flower are different. So by saying her early leaf's a flower does not mean necessarily that the leaf is literally a flower, but the leaf is figuratively a flower. It's something of beauty, right? but only so an hour. So so bringing in the idea of brevity of time. So we have this idea that we can only the beauty moments only last for a very short, and the really truly valuable first moments of beauty only last very briefly. And then we move on to the second four lines of the poem, because it's nice. It's a nice break. I mean, there's no actual physical break in the poem, but I think we can say that there is a shift in focus in the next four lines. So then it says, then leaf subsides to leaf, right? So we see in that line, I don't have a particular device. Maybe you could say it's imagery. It's not it's not strongly imagistic to me, but so basically life goes on. Leaf subsides to leaf. You have one leaf following another leaf, right? And then we bring in, of course, the allusion. So Eden sank to grief, right? So we're talking about the Garden of Eden. We're talking about man and his connection to uh, his tie to death, right? So as life goes on, leaf subsides to leaf. One leaf dies, another leaf comes in. So Eden sank to grief. So kind of connecting it back to the idea of the fall of man and the ultimate death of mankind, or maybe not the ultimate, but the death of mankind, introduction of death into the world. So Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day. And you might think, well, okay, so what's that about? Dawn goes down to day. How can dawn go down? Dawn is going up, isn't it? Right? So there's something here about as time goes on, as dawn, of course, brings more light, brings more day, brings the continuation of time. But that process is, according to the speaker here, actually a going down from something. So it's a lessening. There's a disappointment. There's a kind of associated back with that grief. Dawn is going down. Can dawn actually go down? No, but it's a paradox, right? It's also somewhat kind of metaphorical, but the idea is that it's paradoxical, right? Dawn can't go down, and yet it does, because with the passing of time, there is a greater and greater pain, more death, more grief, etc. And then, of course, nothing gold can stay. And so we're back to the idea of gold, both as something as something primarily as something valuable and beautiful. So nothing gold can stay. All right. So in a short 8-line poem, you can do a lot if you know what to look for. There's no word on here that you don't know. This is not a difficult poem to understand, but you have to be sensitive to all the possibilities of what to read, how to read, essentially. The goal is to make you more and more sensitive to language, and then you can find meaning everywhere. It makes life very rich. I highly recommend it. Okay, thank you.